Good evening, intuitives. You know, back, needed 2 days to recover from Samhain. What a night. What a night. Usually, you should hope one would have a good night when it results in a 2 day hangover. But I'm going to get back to my backlog of videos, and since most of you don't like when I go all witchy on you, we're going to stick with the INFJ and narcissism stuff for a while. Now that Samhain's over and people unsubscribe when I talk about my darker side. So, some of the younger INFJs sent me some comments, quite some time ago back in the summer about wanting to fight their introversion, to be more extroverted, to quote unquote fit in. And, most INFJs, we go through a phase like that. College is the most likely time when it surfaces because you have freedom and you're around a bunch of people your own age. And, you want to go out and have fun, as INFJs do as well. But, for us, it has to be the right people, like being out among people in general not good. Being out among the right people, good, and in the right circumstances, because even then it's still like a battery. So, to my younger INFJs, you must understand that, please be on. Okay, good. That you cannot fight your introversion. You cannot will yourself to be more extroverted than what you're capable of. True, there are certain people that you're going to be more comfortable around that is going to make you be more extroverted than normal. There is some wiggle room, but to go beyond that, it's just not possible to just be that extroverted person who loves being around new people and people in general and surface level conversation, small talk, things like that. You can't do it. No amount of alcohol is going to help with it or other substances. Trust me, I've tried. So you need to be aware of that. You need to know that you cannot fight your introversion. It's best to be aware of it and to know, what your limits are with how extroverted you can be and in what situations you're most likely to be your most extroverted, and also when you need time to recover and all of that. And this is probably good advice for introverts and ambiverts in general, those that even are allowed to be more ambiverted, but obviously need that alone time to recharge. This isn't limited to just INFJs, although we are, the poster child for this situation. So, younger INFJs, this can be quite the challenge. It can come in handy sometimes too. I'll go over both. The challenge is when you want to be around people, like certain people, particularly a love interest, you are going to try to push your extroversion as far as it can go. You're going to put yourself in situations that you may not like nightclubs, just to spend time with this person. And if you two are already have a connection, have chemistry, and it's clear the direction that that's going, it's one thing, because you'll be spending a lot of time with that person in this situation, and that's the whole reason why you're there. I'm more going along with if there's an acquaintance or a friend of a friend and you're like, I see potential there. I need more opportunity to talk to her. And now you're in a club with a bunch of maybe a couple friends, but a bunch of other people that you may not even like, and you're trying to vie for her attention, and she's your type, and from what you know about her that you would fit the criteria of her type, but you haven't opened up yet, and she doesn't know, the kind of person you are, and there's a bunch of other scumbags hanging on her, just trying to bang her for the night kind of thing. Yeah, those situations aren't fun. Yeah, in college. So that can be difficult. That's an example of you can't fight your introversion. And if you're going to try to in situations like this, you're not going to be able to pull off what you want to pull off, meaning to talk to this person of interest. It's not going to go well in that situation because you're vying for attention with other people. You're in a environment that you're not comfortable in. It's not conducive to deep one-on-one conversations. So you're already going to be uncomfortable. That battery, your extroversion battery, is going to be draining faster. And most likely, if you're in a college and you're in a club and you're trying to have a genuine, deep conversation with someone of the opposite sex who is attractive, there's going to be other people just trying to get them drunk to get them in bed. So interruptions in conversations, grabbing people on the dance floor, you know what I'm talking about. That's a situation where you can't fight your introversion. You can't will yourself to be the quote regular guy who can vie for a girl's attention as one normally would in that situation. If you are in that situation, I suggest that you get to the point and ask this person if they want to have a conversation with you, just the two of you, so you can get your one-on-one time where INFJs actually thrive. But there are other ways you cannot fight your introversion. You can't will yourself to go out and meet new people because, most people aren't the type of people that we want to open up to. We're very selective of who we open up to. INFJs, even if you don't know like about personality types or this and that, you have a type, and even if you can't explain it, you know what it is when you see it, kind of thing. So we're constantly looking for someone who meets that criteria. Yes, I know. Even as an INFJ male, the fact that, well, dude, she's hot. Yeah, she is, but that's not the only thing that's important. What do you mean? You don't get it. Pick your knuckles off the ground. They're bleeding, kind of thing. But you can't fight your introversion in this respect either, where you can like will yourself to meet a bunch of new people hoping to meet one that fits your criteria. It is difficult. It is difficult, and I understand the frustration when you want to meet someone. You actually want to will yourself to get out there, but that quickly drains because once you're out there and you're not meeting the right kinds of people, you're like, oh yeah, this is why I'm a recluse most of the time. If going out for you in bars and clubs isn't that glamorized Hollywood vision of what college is supposed to be, it more resembles the tavern scene in Faust, and you're like, ugh, there's no substance here. Like, familiar with Faust. If you're not, you should read it. If you are familiar with Faust, you know exactly the scene I'm talking about. It's my favorite scene from Faust, and Faust is one of my favorite books. Faustian bargains are nothing to be taken lightly, though, says the guy with a pact with Lilith. Never mind. So, for the witches that are paying attention to my other videos, you can't fight that. Now, there are situations where your introversion does come in handy. I don't want to make this all bad. As the theme of this is, you can't fight your introversion. You have to use the strength of your introversion. So, as I said, trying to get close to somebody in a crowded, loud nightclub where, there's lots of competition vying for the person's attention that you are vying for. Not really in your wheelhouse, but there are things that, our INFJness comes in handy. Say, and we'll stick with the college scenario. Say you're at college and there is someone you're interested in, and, you try to talk to them at the party, small talk, casual, surface level, but it seems to be going good, but you're like, oh, come on, like, give me something so we can go deep. Like, I need an opening to go deep. Maybe you'll get that, or maybe that person will pull off to the side. Maybe, trust your intuition, you see something in that person's facial expression, tone of voice, whatever, and you can inquire. Like, say they're upset about something. Here's where your introversion comes in. As INFJs typically are very empathetic, very intuitive, and enjoy deep conversation, and we actually like pay attention and care, especially when it's somebody we're interested in. There's where your introversion comes in. That's when you pull that person aside and be the one who reassures them, be the one who is the shoulder to cry on, be the one who will have a genuine deep conversation about whatever they need consoling about and stick on that topic. Like, actually be there for that person for what they need at that time, and not try to shift the conversation back to like, you're so hot, let's hook up kind of thing. This is where your introversion comes in handy, where your person of interest will most likely see that you're different from most people. It's undeniable INFJs are different than most people. Now, depending on the person, that may be a good or a bad thing. That's subjective, but the reality is we are different than most people, very, very much so, in our alien way. So use your introversion strengths in this point. Talk to this person one-on-one, ask them if they want to leave and go somewhere and not back to your apartment. Well, I mean, unless you're like, unless they trust you enough to be like, let's go back and have tea and I'm not going to try anything. That may be difficult. It wasn't so much for me because I had a reputation as the guy who didn't have one night stands, and I did get made fun of for that a lot, but I also had the reputation as the guy who got in too many fights and the guy who would carry girls home on his back, female friends who got in bad situations and thought they couldn't get out of it, and then they did, and guys would be grabbing on them, and they would try to push them away, fights would ensue, and frat boys would swear vengeance. But enough about my time at Penn State. So, in that kind of situation, your introversion does come into play in a positive way, to where you are not only perfectly comfortable with a one-on-one conversation, that you thrive in that environment, and the fact that you genuinely want to get to know someone, have that deep conversation. And also, if that person's opening up to you and establishing trust, if your intuition's telling you can trust that person, you have to reciprocate. I know that's difficult. I know, especially when you're a younger INFJ, trust no one, everybody lies. That's me in the mid 2000s to a T, especially because younger people are more impressionable and aren't as self-aware or independent, and we're talking non-INFJs, we're always independent, but I'm talking people in general, where someone you might be establishing trust with, and there might be a connection there might be great chemistry, but her group of friends don't approve for whatever reason, because you're that eccentric, not part of the in-crowd guy kind of thing, and girls, especially younger girls, are more pack-minded. I'm not INFJ girls, I'm just talking college-age people in general. A lot of guys are too. You have your frat guy douchebag type, but usually it's females who want the approval of their friends more than males do. Typically, if a male's interested in a female, they don't give a shit what their friends say. Friends might try to talk them out of it, but it doesn't end well. In general, just a word of warning that you might do everything right, and there might be something there, but because she doesn't, fully make her own decisions, it could go bad, and that'll fuck with your head. It'll fuck with your head. Been there recently. So that's something to be aware of, but play to your strengths of your introversion. Do not try to be something you're not. Like, for us to be the life of the party is really, really, really rare. It does happen very rarely, but it's never planned. It's got everything, it's got to be the perfect storm situation. I've done it, but it's been a long time, and they are few and far between. Play to your strengths. Be, the person who excels in a one-on-one conversation, who genuinely is interested, who has genuine empathy, who doesn't have a hidden agenda, be open and honest. If you have feelings for this person, be open about it. Do not try to take advantage of this person in a moment of vulnerability. If you truly want to get to know this person, you should show them that you genuinely care and want to be there for them, and not just capitalize on an opportunity. Yeah, that's right. You may spend the whole night snuggled up on a couch. She may be upset, but you're fine with that. Yeah, kind of thing. And then you take her out the next morning for breakfast, and then you go on a date that night. And that's the way this could play out, my young friends. So be aware of what your strengths are. Be aware of who you are, and do not try to play the character of somebody else, because even if you think you can, you're not going to be able to sustain it for very long. We're just typically not good at that, and like unless you're an INFJ who went to acting school, which not many of us do. So it's just some things to be aware of about fighting your introversion to pretend to be something you're not, and being who you really are and using your own strengths, and being wary of who you open up to. Make sure that person is also being genuine with you. Trust your intuition on that. I mean, we're pretty honest people the vast majority of the time, and usually with INFJs, what you see is what you get. We like it when other people reciprocate too, because we're pretty very understanding about people's past and mistakes and all that, as long as they're open about it. So I hope this helped with fighting your introversion for younger INFJs and that longing to be quote unquote normal. We all go through that stage. I did. It's just not possible the vast majority of the time. Every once in a while, it's almost like you fit in, but it doesn't really last. And understand, you can't make it last. It's not who you are. You have to be who you are, or you'll go nuts. And keep in mind when you have to recharge and all that. Be who you are. Reflux. Be authentic and seek people who actually appreciate that in you. That's my advice. Trust your intuition about who you open up to and if they are being authentic. And do not sell out your integrity pretending to be something that you are not.